All right. So good morning, afternoon, and evening to everyone, depending where you are. I want to thank you for joining my micro talk and to Celia and the Game UX Summit for having me today. I've been in the game industry for 18 years. 10 of them have been dedicated to UX, and I've worked at companies of all different sizes. And for the past year and a half, I've been dedicating my time to learning and thinking about the intersection of games and climate. For the next 10 minutes, I'm going to share with you how games can play a part in the fight against the climate crisis by inspiring climate positive thoughts and behaviors in our players. And we'll focus on key concepts, then share how I'm utilizing research and design to build a climate game myself and things you can think about for your own games. So why do I think games can cause real world change and help the climate movement? Well, in the real world, discussing the climate crisis can be overwhelming, even if you believe in the urgency and want to help. I know that this is even true for myself. I live in Seattle, which is itself in a comparative green bubble. Even as someone who's environmentally driven in my decision making in a city that composts and recycles, prioritizes environmentally friendly messaging, and has lush natural outdoors as a lifeline to many of its residents, I still don't feel immune to climate's changing effects. So when humans get challenged in the real world, particularly with problems that are as large as this, they can become overwhelmed, which could lead to depression, anxiety, and avoidance behaviors. When humans are challenged in a game universe, though, they can feel much more confident in their abilities and have higher tolerance for stressful situations, are more persistent with problems until they achieve success, and are just overall feel more powerful. So in games, we can get creative, we could become exploratory and are problem solvers, even though we may not necessarily be that way in our day-to-day lives outside of games. So how are we going to bridge these realities? How can we encourage people to feel safe or smart or motivated in real life as they do in a game? How can we inspire them to practice their in-game creativity out in the real world? Well, like most UX, we can start by applying research to our design decisions. Isaac Eisen's theory of planned behavior discusses the three factors that lead to action. He has, what do I think? What do others think? And can I do it? We can use these questions to think about how to design the player's user experience. For example, in the cozy game Alba, the question, what do I think, is addressed by building empathy through in-game actions. You can play as a girl visiting her grandparents on an island during the summer. You are encouraged to explore the landscape, take wildlife photos, and are exposed to themes of environmental conservation. The popular farming game Heyday built a strong community event to share what others think. Players were trading vegetarian recipes built off what they had in their in-game farms, and then encouraged to cook them in real life. They would get extra rewards for sharing photos on social media and having vegetarian first farms. Lastly, to address, can I do it? Pokemon Go showcased players could make a difference by challenging them to meet up in parks and clean up trash for an Earth Day event. Participants who shared their real-world progress received in-game rewards, and this shows how we can blend digital and real-world progress. So now that we've seen some examples that were completed in live, what can building a climate game look like during development? Climate is a broad topic that has many industries, concepts, and angles. We need to avoid overwhelming players with too many ideas to get the message across clearly. Think about what real-world information or behavior change do you want to instill in your audience? What kind of gameplay would work with this topic? And are there any market opportunities that are currently being overlooked? When my co-founder and I were thinking about what we should build, we asked ourselves, what does a climate game mean to us? Our top priority was to build something that we thought could cause a real-world behavior change. We picked sustainable fashion as our single focus because circular economies were something that we were personally interested in, and there weren't a lot of games that we were seeing that are focused on this topic. For anyone that is not familiar with this idea, Fast fashion is the economy of clothing made cheaply from synthetic materials that are bad for the environment and are made and discarded at rapid speed. Think about clothing that comes from Temu or Shein, Forever 21, Zara, stuff like that. And sustainable fashion is an umbrella term for people finding new ways to repair clothes, reuse clothes that would otherwise be sitting in a landfill, or creating clothes from materials that will easily break down if they do find themselves thrown away. Examples of sustainable fashion are thrifting, sewing clothes that might have rips to extend its life, creating backpacks out of 4 pairs of discarded jeans, or even creating plastic rain jackets from seaweed. And if you want to talk about how I think seaweed can save the world, we can talk about that later. It might be intuitive for you to want to reach out to as many people as possible. But when starting with a target audience, this helps you narrow down the endless sea of options. It keeps the development of your game on track and will help you build something that will stand out. This target audience is most likely to engage with, enjoy, and invest in your game, especially early on. You could think about, why is this your target audience? What are their play motivations? What platforms does your audience use? And what kinds of games are they currently playing? And what climate topic might be most relevant to them? On the side, you can see either Game Refinery or Google or Quantric Foundry. They all have free tools where you can try to help guide picking player motivations for your game. Now that you know what you're trying to say and to who, start mapping out what your experience is going to be. What is the core loop of the game? How will you stand out? And how can you improve or innovate experiences that the players are already familiar with? For us, Gen Z and Gen Alpha were the perfect audience for our game of sustainable fashion because they are the next wave of fashion designers and consumers. We chose Roblox as a platform because we wanted to meet them where they are, use play patterns that they are already familiar with, and inspire new ideas they haven't heard elsewhere. This was a core of why I believe that they're going to wind up having some sort of sustainable mindset going forward because they're just not hearing these ideas. We took 2 popular game genres on the platform and mashed them together to create something new, yet easy to jump into. Our gameplay is reminiscent of popular cooking games in Roblox, while lacing in core mechanics from top fashion games in order to cross-pollinate. Lastly, while working in this new mission, it's best to learn from people who are experts on others that are dedicated to finding solutions. Cross-industry brainstorming is essential and will get us further faster. Some of the communities that have helped me on this journey the past year and a half are shown here. I'm so grateful for everyone that I've met through there, has open arms, communication, and support that everyone has for each other. I personally started with the 4-month fellowship at Climate Base in order to get a crash course on climate industries for leading field experts and branched out from there. You could check out communities online or wherever you live. So if these ideas are interesting to you, I invite you to join us at the IGDA's Climate Seg to learn all the different ways you can make an impact or just to have like-minded support. You can sign up for the Discord or read the Environmental Game Design Playbook, which is available for free to download at the playingfortheplanet.org. There was a lot of resources that I was unaware of before I started on this really focused journey. So thank you again so much for your time today. And if there's anything that you have a question about or you just want to say hi, please feel free to reach out.